Hello and welcome to our second annual virtual coffee Hacktoberfest initiative kickoff. We are very, very excited to be here and to be doing this again this year. Last year, this was our first time doing it, and we came together as a community and really felt that we enjoyed being able to work through this together, to be able to mentor each other, to form community as we contributed to Hacktoberfest. So we're really fortunate and excited to be doing this again today. We're going to start everybody off with an issue like we did last year. So you should get your first pull request, assuming that everybody is signed up on DigitalOcean's Hacktoberfest page. That will count towards your pull requests, towards the 4 total, which will get you some pretty cool swag. So we're happy to have you here. And just a little bit about virtual coffee if you are new. Our mission here is to be a welcoming tech community that allows room for growth and mentorship at all levels, and to create meaningful opportunities for learning, leadership, and contribution for everyone. You can always find out more at virtualcoffee.io. Check out the resources that we have. We've got a lot of open source resources that our members have worked really hard to get up on the site before Hacktoberfest. And now Dan Ott, one of our maintainers, is going to walk you through the issue we're going to be working through today.
Hello, thank you, Becca, for that introduction. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Hacktoberfest. Welcome to October. Somehow it's October already. I'm excited. Hacktoberfest has been fun. We had a fun time last year, and we are going to have a fun time this year as well. Once we get going here, so I'm just going to share my screen, and what we're going to do is kind of all walk through this whole process to get us kind of started. I do want to reiterate what Becca said at the beginning. If you have not signed up on DigitalOcean Hacktoberfest, make sure you do that before you submit your first pull request. I don't know exactly how, it's possible it might still work if it's in October and you sign up later, but just to be safe, I would do that. Other than that, I think we can get started. Here's our Hacktoberfest site that we made. So I think, Andrea, I think you were asking in the thing, and if you want to sign up today, since you're on the call, I'll let you sign up. I think we're going to cut off signups after this, probably after this call. We'll do that. We'll make that the rule. But go ahead, and I'm sure somebody dropped the link in there. Yeah, so I was mentioning earlier, if you have signed up in the Virtual Coffee Hacktoberfest, you will have, so I'm not going to be logged into my thing, but you will have a dashboard there. And right now it just shows that you submitted your form and stuff, but you can check back later because we're going to be adding some repositories that our members maintain that are good contribution targets, things like that. And so I will announce any of that changes in the Slack as we get going. As far as just questions during the time, feel free to drop questions in chat. Feel free to raise your hand. Becca can interrupt me if I'm just on a roll and I don't notice. But this is going to be sort of it's not going to be just a presentation. We're going to kind of work together. I want everybody to follow along. And so I am totally down to stop at any time to answer questions. If somebody has a problem with a step or is confused with anything I said, even feel free to just interrupt me. It's okay for this presentation down. All right, so last year we did an issue. This is going to be kind of similar, but last year our issue for this was add your profile to add yourself to the members page, and a lot of our members have done it, and some of them haven't. And so what we're doing this year is actually going to be very similar. What we did was basically power up our members page and make it a little more interesting and make it a little more customizable. So this will work if you have not added yourself to our members page. You can just create it from scratch. If you have, if you're already on our members page, which a lot of you are, you can now just modify your file and add some new stuff and have kind of a cooler looking profile. So let me pull up, I did this I set up this profile in the browser so that I'm logged into a different account, and so all of my autocomplete stuff. But anyway, so new changes, one of which, so the way this worked before was all I had to do was add your GitHub username and we would pull all the rest of this information straight from GitHub. And so that's how it's currently, that's the default GitHub. Your GitHub login is required. But now we can add, supplement all that stuff, your profile. So we can add more different kind of social links. We can, if you want your name to be different on Virtual Coffee than it is on GitHub, you can change it, website, bio, anything like that. We can pretty much customize everything. The GitHub name is the only required part of that. So this issue is issue number 13, and I will put it in the link. And so it's honestly the same issue we've been working on, but I updated the text of it a lot and to reflect the new changes. And so the way we're going to start out is the way you're going to start out with any sort of open source contribution is you go to you find your issue that you want. And lots of times we've been harping on, if you have an issue you want to work on, make sure you comment and get assigned to it and stuff like that. Obviously, that's not possible with this issue since everybody's doing the same issue. So we're not going to worry about that part. But anytime you want to make changes, the next thing you want to do is you go to the main repository page and hit fork. Okay. And so this creates a copy of the repository on your own account. So I have already forked this on my account. So this is what I see. If you haven't, you'll get either it'll just go through, or if you have multiple organizations or something, you'll get a drop down to choose which account to do it on. Just as a quick note, if you have, so when you create a fork, then you get, now we have a copy of virtualcoffee.io on your account. So this is a special GitHub user that I made that has not done much. If you have checked out, if you've forked the Virtual Coffee site in the past and have an old version of it, there are a few different paths available. What we want to do is make sure that you're starting from the newest version of the site, the most current version. And so there's this fetch upstream action in here that is in the GitHub UI that hopefully everybody can see.
Dan, you cut out for a second. You said fetch upstream, and then you were on pause.
Oh, well, that's a bummer. Okay, so can everybody see my screen still though? Okay, thanks for, let me know if I have any more problems. Well, whatever. So fetch upstream is, what this does is basically GitHub is going to go in and grab the changes and merge them into your fork. It works pretty well. And you can do that, especially if you haven't touched the main branch. That's pretty easy. There are ways to do this in the command line that I'm not going to get into right now. The other super easy way to do this is if you don't have current changes in repo, like you forked something a long time ago and there's nothing in there that you want to save or anything like that. Honestly, the fastest way is to literally go into, so you go into settings, and this is on my fork. You go into settings and scroll all the way down and just hit delete, and then fork it again. And that'll get you the freshest copy you can get. But at that point, you have a copy, hopefully that's caught up to date. This says this branch is even with Virtual Coffee main. That's what you want to see. So I'm going to pause right here just to make sure everybody is either knows about this or is caught up. If you have any questions at this point, this is a good step. This is kind of an important step for this sort of thing. So I want to make sure everybody is sort of on board here. The reason it's an important step is if you have an old fork and make changes, the problem is you've made changes to an old, or you could have made changes to an old file. And then there's going to be big problems when you push that, when you try to make a pull request backup, because the versions won't match anymore. So this is an important step to take. And if everyone's good, we can kind of keep going. So the next step is, well, I'm just going to show you the files that we're working with in the GitHub UI for a minute. So this is all detailed in the issue, so you can go ahead and read that if you want. The files are in, so this is the SRC directory, data, and then members, okay, and members again. And so now we have a file for everybody that has done this so far. You should, if you have done this before, if you have submitted your name to the members directory, you should see this file. Add yourselves. No, we don't need to add ourselves to the contributors file. this is what we're doing. So I'm sorry, like I kind of apologize. There's two branches. So some people have done, some people are already on the member site and some people aren't yet. And so I'm going to try to, the changes of this are similar, except it's just, you're either going to modify one. So if Bogdan was here, if he wanted to change it, he would modify this file. And if this is brand new, then we create a new file in this directory. I'm going to sort of act like I'm going to, create a file for this user, even though this isn't my, real user, right? Yes, Becca, thank you. Yes, Daniel, the env example file is, that's noted in this issue. If you want to see these changes, and we will, I don't know if those aren't back in the README, we need to do that still, but the steps to take, and I'm going to run through these steps, but the steps to take are also all in this issue. So if you fall behind, drop off, or want to review later, it should be there. So if we look at one of these files, I mean, we might as well just keep looking at Bogdan's. So this is what it looks like, just starting from scratch. We now have some new options. So this GitHub property is the only required property, and it needs to be your GitHub username. After that, if you don't touch anything else, then we're going to keep doing what we have been doing and pull down your name and your GitHub user and your bio and things like that from GitHub, and just display that information here on our members page. But if you would like to change some things, we can change them. So if you were to uncomment out this, you could change your name to display something different. One reason you'd want to do that. So for instance, like Becca has Becca HW on her GitHub profile, but maybe on the Virtual Coffee members site, she would want to say her whole name, or not Becca, or something like that. And that's the way you could do it. Main URL is sort of a website link. So when we link your name and like the URL that shows up here, you can specify something if you want. Bio is bio, takes markdown. And then accounts is kind of also the other new thing, right? So this is all of the types that we support right now. I would love to hear if people want to see more. We can add them down the line, but these are all the ones. So if you have a LinkedIn and you want to show it on your thing, you can uncomment out this line and fix your LinkedIn, put your LinkedIn name and that'll show up. So that's kind of the rundown of the file. So where are we? All right, so we have forked our repository and we have the issue. Where was Daniel? I'm sorry, you're gonna have to be some more specific. Where was what?
Also, just if you follow along in issue number 13, it is pinned.
Yeah.
If you are not listed yet on the members page, start from the initial how to add your profile, get that started, and then the rest of the directions are there for you to refer back to.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes, it was in Daniel. It was in the members file that we're going to be working on. So you're going to see it again here in a second. So at this point, on your fork, you can make the changes through the GitHub UI if you'd like. You can clone them down. You can do, I don't know, there's a bunch of different ways to do it. You can pull them down the command line. I think what I'm going to do is, I already did this, so I'm going to start over here. All right, so this is this is VS Code, right? VS Code has some nice sort of source control stuff, and to make this a little bit easier, I'm going to do it here. So what we want to do is clone repository, right? And so when you hit this button, it's going to say provide URL, right? And so what we want is the URL from your fork, all right? So that's an important step, as opposed to the URL from the original one. So in here we hit code, and this is the URL we want to copy. Yes, the recording. Yes, we're recording this, and we'll put this up after. All right, so we have the URL. If you want to do this, if you're comfortable in the command line, this is where you clone. If you do other ways, that's fine. You can, open in the GitHub desktop if you like, that sort of thing. I'm just going to kind of keep going in here. So we paste that in here and hit enter. It'll say, it'll give you a choice for what directory we want to put it in. So I'm just going to say VCIO Hacktoberfest or something. Well, that's not right. UCIO too, because I can't type. And then hit yes. All right. And so now it's going to clone our little repository for us. And would I like to open it? Yes, I would like to open it. And this is now we have the repository local, and we can kind of keep rolling. I lost my chat screen. Where did it go? Oh, it's over there.
You're good. There's no
yeah,
questions.
I know, but I just want to like see it. I didn't know why it went away. Oh, it's because I'm right. I know it. Don't worry. I know exactly what's going on at all times. All right, so now we have the main branch of our forked repository checked out. And so what we want to do is create a new branch, which I'm pretty sure you can do here somewhere. And you know, I probably should have looked this up. How do we create a new branch in VS Code doing this? Oh, yes.
So if you scroll down all the way in the corner where main is, you can do it right there too.
Ooh, nice. Okay, so I found out how to do it through this dot, and then we can, so Becca says down here, main, create new branch. That's really cool too. So create new branch. And at this point, we don't specifically have a naming scheme set up on Virtual Coffee. Some repositories do. We don't. One of the things you can do is just do your username so that like everything's under your username, and then say, you know, update member bio or something like that. You can also do pretty much, as long as the branch name is specific to the work you're doing, it'll be fine, at least for us. Okay, so now we are in this branch. That way we know that this work is just this little piece of work. So at this point, what we want to do is go into the data files. All right, and so here's where we're going to, if you are editing, sorry, so we're going to go into data, members, and then members again. Okay, and so this is the directory the only directory we're going to be working on in this example. So if you are an existing member of this thing, so basically if your username shows up here, then you can just open that file and we can make the changes. So this is Bogdan's again. If you're doing this for the first time, what you're going to do is this example.js, all right? We're going to duplicate this file and call it your username. So I forget what my fake one was called. Uses, or maybe there's no dashes. We're going to call it the same name as your GitHub username, okay? And the file should have everything that we need to do, okay? So the only required step is here is to put your username in. Is that the right username? No, I'm like not sure. Where did it's here. Don't worry. I got it. Dan uses GitHub. I had it right. Dan uses GitHub. Okay, and so put your username in here. And this is your GitHub username. And that's the only required thing. If you would like to override your name, so you can look at your your profile information is going to be here in you know, your profile. Okay, so this is going to be, you know, I didn't change like my name, so it's just my username. This is the little bio, so you can edit your GitHub profile here if you want. This is some of the information we default to. If you'd like to override that, that's where we can do it in here in the code. So I'm going to say my name. So I uncommented this out. You can hit delete, or in VS Code, at least on a Mac, it's Control/. That's a little shortcut, but the same thing works just to delete it. And I can say, all right, there we go. Website, you know, can be whatever. I'm just gonna, change this to, you know, if you want to have a website shown, change it to here. This bio, it accepts Markdown. You don't have to use Markdown, but you can put Markdown in there if you want. And then these accounts for each one of these types, if you have it and you want it displayed on a Virtual Coffee members page, feel free to uncomment and fill in the right information. And then the website one is more, it's kind of a special one, but this is just like, you can add as many of these as you want. They're all going to get the same little globe icon, but that's a little bit different than the rest of these are accounts. Check out the special notice on the YouTube one. If you have a YouTube channel and you have a custom URL, it's all in the comments here, but the shape is a little different. So I didn't come up with a more elegant way to deal with that yet. So if you have a custom URL, put it like that. If you just have a normal channel ID, then just put it in there. The rest of these are just usernames. It should be straightforward. Okay, so we're at like code changes step. And so I'm going to pause again and see where everybody is as far as questions or
we do have
like
some
that.
questions about
Yeah,
fetching upstream. If you want to, I don't know if you can see the chat, but if we make later changes to our GitHub profile, nope, that was not it. When do I fetch upstream? It's showing me some conflicts to be resolved and asking me to open a PR. How do I resolve it?
Okay, that is, I imagine, because you have changes on your on the whatever branch you're in, or maybe in the main branch on your fork that weren't like pulled in. Okay, and so Glenn just said like that's usually what I do. If you have changes that like that you are wanting to keep, and for whatever reason, then there's some steps we can take. But what this means is if there's conflicts, like we're not going to. It's probably because you made some changes and maybe you made them in main and then create a new branch and then then did the pull request from the new branch but never dealt with main. Like it's unlikely that you have changes in your branch that like you haven't done a pull request for, that you want to keep. And so you can delete the fork if you want. You can delete the main branch of your fork, and like that's a little sketchier. There's some other ways to do it. The other way, like if I'm not going to get into this right now, but like you can, probably go in and revert your changes and then do a bowl and stuff like that. Honestly, the easiest way to do it is just to delete the fork and create a new one. But if we still have problems with that, let's hit me up after and we can kind of work through it. All right, we got some other questions here. So Tiffany said, if we make later changes to our GitHub profile, will those automatically be pulled in? Yes. So that happens. That's a great question. We pull down that GitHub data every time we build the site. So that on production. And so that is anytime we make changes, and also every day, just once a day at night on the East Coast anyway. And so the data is usually pretty fresh. If there is some sort of emergency change that you like, something accidentally got up and you need to get it down really quick, you can just hit us up. But otherwise, the changes will get updated in about a day at most. So yes, all right, here we go. Keep going through quizzes. Yeah, Matt said basically what I said. Right. Yeah, no, we don't need to modify this file. Although, like, so here's the thing, like it defaults to the GitHub data. But if I change this name here, and you want it, and then later you want to change this name, your like virtual coffee special name, that you do need to make just a new PR to do. And the process is just the same as this, is just change it, create a new branch, change it, make a pull request. Is that clear? I mean, was that clear enough? I'm happy to kind of go into more details about that if anybody would like. But if not, okay, great. Any other questions at this point? Or we good to go? Okay, so at this point, you can make a, I was just trying to think of how to do this without, all right. At this point, you can run this locally if you'd like to try to test your changes. This isn't required. It's not a required part of the process, but I can run through it pretty quickly if you'd like. So what you do is open a terminal in the repository. So VS Code has a built-in terminal that I like. Any terminal will do. And the first command is just yarn. Okay, and this is all in our README and contributing docs. But what yarn does is pulls down the latest versions of all of our dependencies and kind of gets everything ready to go. Dominic, if you would like to see more other types of sites, I would add a feature request on Virtual Coffee IO, and it'd be pretty easy to do. But like right now, no, you know what I mean. But in the future, yes. Okay. So, and I can just show, I mean, well, whatever. I'd be happy to show you the code later that's doing it, but it's basically like just running a switch and saying, oh, if it's Twitter, then do this. If it's LinkedIn, you know, it's not anything fancy. So it's very easy to add new ones. But we just have to like do it via pull request, etc. So if you have run yarn, you should hopefully get, you can get a couple warnings like this, but as long as there's no big errors, that's fine. And so the next thing to do is just yarn start. Okay. And what that does is sets up a kind of a local version of the site running on your own computer. You are going to get a bunch of these deprecation warnings. I tried to have these gone by the time we did this recording and was not able to do it, but you can ignore them. And so, yes. And so when you do this, naturally, you're going to, I mean, not naturally, but for the first time, you're going to get things like error loading GitHub sponsors using fake data instead. And then let's see if we have, there should be a thing for, yeah, whatever. Basically, one of the sort of gotchas with open source software is we have like private keys that we use to build some data, and we can't share them. And so we can't share them to everybody. We can't just put them in the repo, things like that. So my solution, sort of hacky solution, was to come up with some like fake data for the members. Now, all right. And so, sorry, let me get in this before so assuming this worked, you should see some nice green text and say a local server is now running and your local is 9,000. So you can go to your browser and say localhost 9,000, and hopefully it should work. And what we're doing is changing our members page, so you might as well just go to the members. And so this is kind of what I was talking about a little bit with the environment key stuff, is that we require, like, we depend on Virtual Coffee's like secret repository GitHub key to pull in the data live. However, so what you see here is just the very much default. And then if you've made any changes on your file, or if anybody's made changes, you'll see those too, which is kind of cool. So let's see if I can find my, yeah, there's the one I just added. All right, so I can see that actually my name override is working. Here's my little, markdown bio. And well, I didn't uncomment any of these things, but once you have this running, if you make changes and hit save, you'll see it rerun again. So if we just, I'll just put dev here, and so I just put my own in. But if you'd like to see one of these accounts, I uncomment it, fix the username, hit save, and you'll see that 11D starts kind of rerunning again. It's a little slow, but it'll do it. And then it did refresh on our browser, and now we have a little dev thing. So this way you can verify at least that you have pulled in your file and it's showing up and it's not like blowing things up. All right, so here now I'm going to pause again for questions, concerns, comments, anything like that.
I'm just going to add a little note here. If you have not signed up for DigitalOcean's Hacktoberfest yet, and you want to participate in the Hacktoberfest that gets you a t-shirt and swag, don't submit your PR or put a work in progress on there before submitting, as you submit this PR, until that's done. It takes about a minute to do. There's a couple things of information, but if you submit this, I think before you sign up for the Hacktoberfest through DigitalOcean, then that does not count towards your 4 pull requests.
Yeah, thank you, Becca. It's a great point. So make sure you do that. And there's maybe somebody can drop a link just in the chat, just in case. But okay, so Andrea says to get the site server No, okay, so it's yarn, Andrew, yarn, and then just lower, sorry, Zoom is like messing with my yarn. And then that's an install, and then yarn start. Yeah, thank you. Wow. Yarn start to run it. Okay. So we're
And
not
I think all of
using
that is in the contributing, what the README is it?
sorry, I keep going to the wrong thing. All of that is in the README. I think it's either in the README or yeah, it's in the README. Yarn start. Yep. So this is on the main README. And I think I might have actually put it in the issue, in this specific issue. Yeah. I didn't put it all, but anyway, this issue has, so I was talking about how we have some fake member data and things like that. There is a way to, this is sort of extra credit, but if you want to see like your localhost version of the site with everybody's live data, you can do that locally. You have to go to, I'm not going to do it here because I'm in recording and all that stuff, but the instructions are in the issue. And so basically you can go to your GitHub profile and create a personal access token. Okay. And so there's instructions here, linked here. And you only need, you'll get a little drop down and you only need this one permission for this. Okay. And once you have your token, what you do here, and this is Daniel was mentioning this earlier, what you do here is, so there's an example environment file here. And what we need to do is basically rename, we need to like duplicate this and rename it .env. And what this is, oh, wait, sorry, duplicate, what did I do? Oh, whatever, new file. I don't know, VS Code doesn't like this, but .env, okay, and copy the contents in. And then what we want to do is, here is your GitHub token. So you can uncomment that line out, get the token that you got from GitHub. If you do that, you'll have to start and stop your your localhost again. But if you do that, you'll get, everybody's data will, everybody's things will look good with all the avatars and all that stuff. But it, again, not a requirement for this process. It's just if you would like to see it actually happening.
I just want to add, Taiwo said that he's able to see everyone's images in GitHub code spaces. So if you're using that, that sounds pretty cool.
Dope. I really haven't used code spaces, so I'm not going to try right now. But that's cool. So when, Taiwo, did you actually, just out of curiosity, are you in the virtual coffee organization in code spaces? Is that what's going on there? Yeah, whatever, we can talk later. I'm curious about it though. So I would like to hear more later. All right. There was a delay between the PR. Yes, yeah. There's delays. You shouldn't expect any. So I was reading a comment about on Hacktoberfest, and you don't know if the PRs don't show up right away and all that stuff. There are significant delays on Hacktoberfest stuff. Don't expect instant updates. They are honestly like verifying every single PR, and so there's people doing it. And so that's why there's delays. So don't sweat it. Okay. Any other questions at this point in our lives? Cool. Okay, so at this point, you either have a brand new file, or you have or you've modified your existing one. And so you can commit these changes however you want. Again, I probably should have looked up how to do this on VS Code. I was trying to keep it simple, but yeah, my member data, and do I get them all? Station, change them. What happens here? All right. I'm gonna assume that worked. And then, so now we have a change in our branch, right? We have our special branch. And what we want to do is push this, okay? I think that there's some of these VS Code, maybe. Yes, okay. And so what we're going to do is publish this upstream branch. Okay, so there's ways to do this in the command line that I forget about, but I'm sure somebody can help. And all right, I'm getting all sorts of
Also,
problems
if you open up a terminal in GitHub and you have the your forked copy and you say git push, it will say like there's an error, but it will tell you exactly what you need to have in there. And so I
Yeah.
never remember, and I just copy and paste that thing.
Yeah. So the problem I actually ran into here is I was so I'm like on my sort of this test GitHub profile, that is just a fake user that is not like a maintainer of Virtual Coffee, but my command line, like my VS Code thinks on me, and so it's not letting me push to this thing. And so I'm going to, I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do here. What I'm going to do is do this through the UI so we can kind of just see a pull request, because I do want to get to there. Yeah, good push orders. My issue right now is a permissions issue, because I'm logged in as like real me, but I'm trying to push to not me's account. So, moving on. Let's get to our fork here. I'm going to do the same thing I was doing, except I can do this in the UI. So this is actually kind of a nice feature of GitHub as well. So we have data, members. Okay, and so what we're going to do is add a file, create a new file, and I'm just going to copy the same stuff. Oops, sorry. Dan uses GitHub. Yes, and here we go. And no, shouldn't have done this in main, huh? Oh no, here we go. Create new branch. This is it. All right, this is the new file. This is like making changes in the GitHub UI, which is really dope. So I wanted to create a new file, create Dan uses GitHub. That's perfect. Create a new branch. And so this is here. So this is like their default one. I'm cool with it. And so now I can create a pull request if I want. All right. So if this doesn't come up automatically, when you go to your GitHub profile, you'll probably see this like nice big notice if you have successfully pushed your changes up. Even if you don't, you'll be able to create a new pull request and choose the branch. But basically what we want to do is compare and pull request. This feature is so cool. I just saw this yesterday, so it's neat. So here we go. So this is creating a pull request. Yes. And so here's our base repository. This is the official, this is the main branch. And we do want to do, pull request back to main. This is my, my fork. And this is the branch that I am dealing with at this time, right? And so name this pull request something useful so that when, maintainers are scanning the list of pull requests, they don't have to like wonder what the hell it is, all right? So, this is fine, or you could say, create my member profile JS file or something like that. And so this content in here is from what we call a pull request template. Okay, and so we lots of times have pull requests that are related to actual, so different work issues, things like that. And so our issue is, let's go back to our issues here, is 13, I believe. And so one of the most important things is to link the issue to, delete this. This is help text, right? But and then we can add a description, so added my profile data. And methodology isn't very important here. This is like to give some more context if it's, more of a code change, something like that. But I'm just going to say valid. Okay. And you want to give as much context as you can in here. If you made decisions that are that you might have questions about, things like that. That for this user, for this exercise, we don't need a lot of detail in here. But if it's a pull request for an issue, if pull request for anything else, the more detail you put in here, the better. Because it can only help maintainers understand what you were doing and what why you made choices, especially if you went back and forth on something. If you made some decisions, say what decisions you made and why, things like that. It will always help and never hurt to put more information. One quick feature real quick, and this is not really a useful one for this exercise, but if you have a pull request that you would like to get some feedback on, but it's not done yet, what you can do is create a draft pull request. Okay. And this is a really cool feature. So what this means is it signifies to the maintainers that, you know, that it's a draft, right? That it's not ready, but it is, you know, ongoing. And this shows up. So this shows up in the maintainers views, but it shows up very quick. So I switch over. So this is what I see as a maintainer of this repository. Okay. And so I now have this, this is my pull request, and this is the one that just came in. And you can see really clearly it's a draft, right? And so usually if you put in a draft, you're going to put some questions in the description or questions in the comments, things like that. There's probably some reason why there's a draft, you know, why you're putting a draft, because you want some feedback or you want to show your work, but, you know, it's not done yet. Any reason, you know, it's a really great thing. Lots of times people will put it in the title too, but this draft thing very clearly signifies that it's not ready to be merged in quite yet. And then as a contributor, if you decide you're done, what you can do, there's a nice big button here that says ready for review. And so you say ready for review. And then it's just a normal pull request. Okay. So I am going to pause there and see what else we got going on. Jen has how do I get sweet gifts in my PR?
I think she said GIFs though.
No, she said gifts for sure.
No, it definitely says GIF because I read it and she wants to know about sweet GIFs. Nobody knows what a GIF is.
I'm gonna unmute
right
for GIF. So just
I'm gonna put back.
So I'm gonna let everybody unmute and everybody can just say what they want it to be. Where I didn't set up the poll function.
Oh man, I almost just put, I wish the waiting room was still on because I was going to put her in the waiting room. Anyway, we don't need to do this right now. You can put, so that's literally Markdown. Okay, so
Jen,
Markdown
you may
has
have the final say if it's GIF with a J.
Markdown has images, right? So the syntax for an image in Markdown is, so this is like alt text, okay, and then in parentheses, URL to an image, okay. So the exclamation point is what makes it an image. So I'm using Edge in Chrome. I had, and Firefox actually, I had actually kind of like there was a GIF, GitHub GIF plugin that actually put a little GIF thing here, which was really dope. Since I'm on Edge, I installed this. So it's a tenor plugin, right? But so I can do that. And then this gives me the you know, this is like not GitHub specific, this plugin, but it gives me the option to copy Markdown. All right. And then I can paste it in right there. And you can hit preview if you want to check it out. But and then, you know, comment. So there's no magic, it's just Markdown. And that's it. All right, let me catch up. What else do we have going on here? No, you do not get the final say. This is my meeting. If you do, Jen, if you do a lunch and learn, then you can get the final say for that presentation. All right, what do we got?
We got GIFs. That's what we got. Now we're ready to move on.
Yep. Okay. Wait. You can also use HTML in GitHub. Yes, you can. You can use HTML in GitHub for some, you know, some subset of HTML, including images. You can put tables in. You could put tables in Markdown too, but it's a huge pain. There's a couple other HTML elements that are supported. So that's a good call, Abby. All right. Yeah. And so like that's GitHub flavored Markdown, and it's really interesting. But anytime you see like a box that looks like this with the M in here in GitHub, all that stuff applies. It's really cool. All right. What other questions do we have about pull requests or anything like that this time? Is everybody following? Everybody good? Have I like lost anybody? Hey, listen, I'm going to start banning people that, all right, we start. Wait, which one is hard and which one is soft? This is a problem. I always forget.
Soft is the just sound.
Okay,
Guh.
so soft is the wrong one. Wait,
no,
soft.
You've got that wrong.
All right. Anyway, okay, so moving on. Oh, another feature of pull request, right? So this is the pull request that we made for this guy, and I'm in my own. This is my like non-maintained profile. But this checks situation is a kind of cool feature. So different repositories will have different things going on here. Sometimes nothing. But one thing we have is we're on Netlify, and Netlify gives us a really cool thing called deploy previews. And so what we can do is click on the deploy preview, and we can see it built on Netlify. So this is another way to like look at your work without running it on your own machine. If you want, you can see how it is going to look on Netlify. Unfortunately, with branches, when we're on forked repos, we still don't get the secrets. So we're still back into the temporary data view, but you can still see this is what we were looking at before. So pull requests are nice, and they're a really cool feature for a lot of things. If I were in, let me see if I can, which one of these is, I'm trying to think if I can get logged into one of these. Let's see. What I was going to say is Netlify has really cool pull requests like features that let you, whatever, Netlify. Okay. Oh no, it's going to say sign in through GitHub. Which account am I in? Let's do whatever. Going back to this main one. All right. All right. App. Netlify. All right. Virtual coffee. So all right. So if I go to the pull request, and if I open, so this is me on a maintainer, like, so I'm on our Netlify account. So this isn't something that contributors all get to, but this is just a cool Netlify feature that I wanted to show everybody. But if we open one of these up and open up the deploy preview here, Netlify gives us this really cool toolbar to like make comments and make changes and stuff like that. So this is like, this down here is all Netlify, right? And I can take a screenshot of something and whatever, I'm gonna deal with that later. Obviously I haven't done this on this browser yet, but you can do screenshots, you can do, get some more information, you can comment. So this is like, you can comment directly on the pull request in GitHub. You can do a screen recording and lots of things like that. It's really cool. That's sort of a Netlify aside, because I'm just obsessed with Netlify. But that doesn't show up if you are not on the team, the Netlify team that is doing the deploy review. So I think. All right. What else we got going on? We're good to keep going. Yeah, and so at this point, people have created some PRs, and if I were the maintainer and looked at this and needed some changes, so I'm just going to run through this real quick, because this isn't probably going to happen with this particular exercise. But what I do as a maintainer is I look at the conversation, look at the files change, and I say, whatever. So I can make changes on, I can review the pull request, I can request changes, I can approve it, all sorts of things like that. And so one thing I can do here is say, this is not your name or something, start review, and say request changes. Some extra, oh, there we go. All right. So this is a really very comprehensive review. But if you are, so this is me as a maintainer, but this window. So this is me. Did I get out of my, oh, yeah, here it is. So now I'm looking back at my pull request, and I can see that, and I got a notification, all the stuff, but I can see that the maintainer said, fix this. And here's a link to some stuff, whatever. So I can go in and fix it. And if you have request changes, or if you do need to make more changes, what you do is just go and make the change and then push it back to the same branch. So the pull request stays open for the life of the review process. And this is a place where you can have a conversation and stuff like that. And you can comment, or if you go and fix it, you can say, okay, fixed. And if you fix something that is a request change, then you can say resolve. And once you've pushed up your fixes, what you can do is say re-request review. So from whoever requested changes in the first place. And so that's the kind of workflow in the pull request situation. Sometimes you'll get comments from anybody, depending on the project. Anybody that has access, I mean, if it's a public repository, then literally anybody can comment on pull requests. So sometimes with bigger ones, you'll get people that aren't maintainers, but that are, either suggesting changes or making comments, stuff like that. But it's a pretty cool process. So what do we got going on? Can we reopen the pull request from last year to update it? No. So this is going to be a new change. So we're going to create a new pull request, create a new branch, create a new pull request. Reopening the old pull request won't work because the branch is probably gone, for one thing. And if it weren't gone, then it would be really, really old, and so any like new chunk of work should most of the time be in a new, a new pull request, a separate pull request. So that's a good question though. All right, what else we got going on here? Battery is dead. Sorry, Justin. Bogdan had no ideas for the new org readme. I look forward to reading those. All right, cool. So at this point, as a maintainer, well, I'm not going to merge this one because this person is obviously spam. But what we can do is start kind of working through here. And, I know this one would happen like right in the middle overnight while I was changing all this stuff. So I'm going to go swing back to this. But this one 31 minutes ago is probably while we've been on this call. So this is, I'm in my maintainer view. So this is me, reviewing this change. So here's the new file. We can see, hey, this is a brand new file. Added some accounts. That looks pretty good to me as a maintainer. I'll also usually, if something like, if there's some syntax error, something like that, and it breaks, that's another thing that this netlify thing will show for me. So it'll just show that the build failed. Here I can see that it succeeded. So I can just go in and, make sure that at least the things that we have set in this file are showing up. And I think that, it looks good from first glance. So bio TBA, if you want that to be your bio, that's fine. If you Matthew, if you just left that blank, what will happen is it'll either pull from your GitHub bio, or if you don't have a GitHub bio, it just won't show up anything, which might be better shot.
I'll change it later.
Okay,
Thanks, Dan.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, this is what I was saying. I'm just going to put a little review in here. So might, want to comment this back out. Okay, and request, I'm just request changes. So, I'm not going to put a lot more detail here because you know what I'm talking about. But see video. We'll give it the timestamp in somewhere. All right. So this is so I have requested changes for this pull request. And so let's go check out Daniel. I'm not going to run through everybody's on this call, but we have, Daniel's adding. So we have, so his was one that was a modification of one that already exists because he was already on the site. And so we're adding LinkedIn and adding a website drop here. And this looks pretty good to me. I can kind of go check out the deploy preview again. If I wanted to, I can pull this down. I can pull Daniel's fork down onto my local machine and run it locally if I want to. Really anybody can for a public repo, but it looks like these are looking pretty good. So what I can, so at this point, everything looks pretty good. And what I will do is just go ahead and, merge it in. All right. And so we have Hacktoberfest, as a topic on our repository. So any accepted pull, any merged pull requests will count from here on for the rest of the month. And we can do some sort of, I don't know, which one is this? Baby Yoda's always a good one. And then we're good. All right. And so this is merged. The branch, the branch is probably still live because it's on Daniel's fork, but now the pull request didn't show up in my list anymore. And we're in good shape. So that was like top to bottom, entire process. I will, I mean, when we're done with this call, or maybe if there's some more chatter, I'll kind of go through the rest of these, but I'm not going to go through them all right now. What questions do we have? Oh
Can
yeah, go
we,
ahead.
let's give members some time to try and work through those things if possible. And while we're doing that, we have the monthly challenge page up now. So if you want to go ahead and check out the monthly challenge page, shout out to Andrew and RLE for all the work that they do with the monthly challenges. Can you pull up the monthly challenge page, Dan? So we have some directions for what to do for Hacktoberfest, some of the things that we're doing here, and it gives a list of repositories that we've gone through and checked out and made sure that they were suitable for what we need. I think Dan mentioned this earlier, but I want to make sure that everybody knows, if you want your PR to count for Hacktoberfest, the repository has to have the Hacktoberfest topic listed under the about. Yeah, thanks, Dan. So you can see that we have it listed there. So double check and make sure that all the repositories, if you want them to count to, that has that label. It was an opt-in last year, like middle of Hacktoberfest. So there's still a little bit of lack of clarity about that in terms of DigitalOcean's Hacktoberfest, but that is the standard for what needs to count. So if you want to jump back over to our monthly challenge page, you can see that we have a list of some of them. We have maintainers right there. Those are people who have submitted it and who are a part of those companies. So not necessarily the main maintainers of those repositories, but they're members that you might be familiar with, and you can feel free to talk to about those things. And then at the very bottom, we should have some resources. You can also add, oh, look, I have two. I'm 100% positive that that is the wrong title for one of those. Nope, I listed it twice. Excellent. So there you go. There's a PR. Let's fix that. If there are other resources that you think are good, or if you want to look through our issues, there are other things that you can be working on as well. If you have any questions, we'll have the virtual coffee Hacktoberfest co-working room, which is separate from the regular co-working room, open here soon. And we'll also make sure that everybody's questions get answered in open source, or you can always put them in help and pairing, but we're trying to steer everybody towards open source for this monthly challenge and event, because there's lots of really great stuff that we can keep doing throughout the year.
Word.
That was it. I'm done.
Yeah. Oh, here, so I can, looks like it finished. No, this is the, sorry, I lost it. Where is the window with the second? Whatever, we don't need to be on this. I am just totally lost without my like autocompletes. Here we go. So, and now since we merged Daniel's, we can see his LinkedIn and his website are linked there, and it worked. So good job. And I was developing this so you can see mine are up here. It looks pretty cool if you have them all filled out. I don't have all of them, but yes, it has to have Hacktober. So like so one of the unfortunate downsides of Hacktoberfest was it got a lot of excitement, you know, but everybody wanted it. But people started creating like spam pull requests, garbage pull requests on just repositories all over the place. And so now the way they solved that was that they make, or they request that maintainers opt in. So a repository has to opt in to the Hacktoberfest process. So it has to like in the description of the repo. Okay. And so that's like, that's the important part. Like not like here or anywhere in the README or anything like that. It has to be one of these like little tag looking things in the repository itself for it to count. There's three different ways that so if assuming this is true, there's three different ways a pull request can count. So if it gets merged, it count. I mean, and this is they validate that they're not like spam or garbage or whatever. You know, if you do a pull request, it's just like a line break and submit it. I don't think they're going to accept it. And they have some clarification about that sort of thing. But if you have a pull request that is like you're working with a maintainer and it's long going or something, the maintainer can add a tag that basically accepts it as an accepted thing. So they can add a label. They can approve it through the review process, or they can merge it. Yeah. So some repositories don't always merge things right away, but they approve. That's part of their workflow is hitting the approve thing. So anyway, that's kind of that from that angle. Yeah. There's like spam PRs are a bummer. We had like people are probably familiar with, or may be familiar with the good first issue label that GitHub sort of suggests that people use. But as soon as we put that on an issue, like we started getting bombarded with people submitting pull requests for that issue. And, we like to keep good first issues for people who are learning, and these are people who've been, whatever. So I don't understand it. I don't like it. But that's all. How do you get the Hacktoberfest label? Do you mean, Daniel, on the repository, like this thing here? So if that's what you mean, so this is as a the maintainer is the only person that can get, a maintainer. But if you have a repository, you go, this is just on the homepage of the repository, this little settings thing here. You can add description. And topics is what we're actually talking about. Hacktoberfest.
So just to clarify, the actual repo has to be labeled Hacktoberfest.
Yes.
Or
Okay, that's definitely different this year because that
We
is
switched it halfway last year.
that's like so not clear. Like that doesn't stand out at all. Whereas before it was the issue itself had to be labeled Hacktoberfest.
Yeah, that part is not a requirement, and they don't they're not even looking at the issues, right? Because they're looking at the pull requests. But I suppose there might be some let's see here.
I have a related question.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm gonna look this up while you're talking. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, of course we need to finish with Meg, but I right before she asked that, I was on the forum website. I don't think Nick Taylor's on this call, but I see that they are a participant. They're on our website as a participant. That's all very clear. But then there are also Hacktoberfest tags on only some of their issues. So what does that tag mean then?
I imagine that's to help them sort through and spammy or what they want to work with during the Hacktoberfest. But I think, sorry.
Yeah, and it also so like those are probably the ones that you want to look at if you're doing it. And also there are automated websites that will just pull in any issue that has the Hacktoberfest label, as like a service. And so like they're sort of advertising, that they're participating, that sort of thing.
Okay, so wait, so this number 2 here kind of touches on that. So it says apply the.
It's a recommendation. So yeah, I was trying to find the like news
actual.
If you want to see it, it's like buried in their FAQ. In the FAQ, it says, hey, do pull requests, it says like, oh, for a pull request to be counted, it has to be in a repository with the Hacktoberfest topic. There's also a label Hacktoberfest accepted that you can put on PRs to get them in as well. But that's like also like an option.
Yeah, so I believe your PRs in past years they did not need to be merged in by the end of the month to get credit for them. But there is some criteria that has to be observed. So I think like if a maintainer labels it as invalid or spam or something like that, then you won't get that PR. But I know last year, I think 2 of mine weren't merged in at the time of the end of the month, and they still counted towards my 4 Hacktoberfest PRs.
Yeah, I mean, but like the Hacktoberfest issue label is just sort of a help to navigate whatever, not a requirement at all. but the Hacktoberfest topic is a requirement, and because they did this because of spam and stuff. So maintainers have to opt in. Like maintainers, if they want to participate, need to say, I want to participate by adding the Hacktoberfest topic to the repository. This way, if somebody
So-
says, I don't want to deal with this, they can take it off and none of the requests will ever be.
So if it's a Hacktoberfest labeled topic repo, then it doesn't matter which issue you do. So like, it doesn't matter if the issue says Hacktoberfest or not on it.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, assuming this is here, that's the only require that then, this, and then also the pull request gets merged, or there's a couple other ways that you can like approve them, that the maintainer can approve them aside from merging. But a maintainer is not ever obligated to merge anything ever, right? And so following what the maintainers specify as far as like, in the contributing guide, I know the forum is doing a lot of Hacktoberfest related stuff. And so they have blog posts and stuff like that, that I'm sure will lay out how they expect people to navigate through this stuff, but, forum has a million issues. They have employees, they have, as well as open source. And so, they have like these labels like forum team, so this is like, only the internal team is going to work on this ever. And so the Hacktoberfest label is not there, but anyway, this is more of like the labels on issues are kind of like more of a social thing, as opposed to a rule-based thing. Yes.
One more thing, the DigitalOcean website says that if let's say you sign up sort of mid-month, they claim that like retroactively, like if you did any PRs earlier in the month, once it was between like October 1st and 31st, they'll get counted. But I think like just, don't necessarily, I think if you can sign up like as soon as possible before doing your PRs, just so, I don't know.
I think I also saw that
Yeah.
I don't know how many people typically participate, but it's only the first 50,000 that can get a t-shirt. The first 50,000 to sign up, I think.
Oh, that I'm not sure about.
Yeah.
It's the first 55,000 that complete their 4 PRs.
Oh, that complete them. Okay.
And for maintainers, they have this year, it's the first 10,000. No, they have 10,000 and they do it by like how much activity for maintainers, but you can't get both contributor and maintainer like prize packs. You get one or the other.
Seems fair.
Does it?
Jessica's asking, is there a sign-in page for the Hacktoberfest to check out how many PRs were added?
On the DigitalOcean Hacktoberfest, yes. So
Yeah.
If you've signed up, you'll have a login and they have a dashboard and all that stuff.
No, Danielle, you don't need your PRs in today. I don't know how many people signed up this year, but I think my final PR last year came in very close to the end. So it just depends on how many people sign up and what they're doing, but you should get 1 PR today and then you'll have 3 more to work with. But I think, part of this is also investing in open source and in growing as a developer. So the t-shirts are cool, but they also run small. So you might get one and it might not fit you. So we'll put the learning experience is number 1 and the small size t-shirts in S2.
Yep. So we're here to do open source. T-shirts are neat, but and like they have a lot of, if you have any more Hacktoberfest, like we obviously we're not directly affiliated with DigitalOcean at all. So like direct your questions there. I mean, we're, you know, we're happy to like let you know like what we think, you know, but anything that we could, anything that we said as far as DigitalOcean goes could be incorrect. And, you know, just, I would go here and they have, you know, facts and all that stuff. So, all right. What else? Anybody else have any more questions? Or anything else? Any other open source related questions, you know, not specifically Hacktoberfest? Well, if we don't have any more questions, I suppose we can wrap it up. I don't really have any, you know, final things. I'm going to kind of go through these, you know, when we're done, I'll get them up. You know, keep your eye out for notifications if we run into, you know, if I have any questions. I see, well, 34 people, including me here, and, you know, only like 10 or 12 or whatever pull requests here. So I expect that number to be higher shortly. But yeah, if there's nothing else, Becky, do you have any final like announcements, you know, or anything like that?
I just want to say thanks, first of all, for everybody who came here and for all of the questions that you asked. You can still ask questions, especially like if you went through this and you're like, I want to get this done, but I still have questions. Feel free to throw those into the open source channel in our Slack. Definitely double check and go through that monthly challenge page. Reach out to your mentors and let them know what you're looking for. If you've signed up for a mentor, if you still want a mentor, let us know. And let's see what else. Thank you to our sponsor for our Hacktoberfest initiative, Decentology. And I think that's it. Definitely check us out in the Hacktoberfest co-working space for all of your open source hacking this month.
Yes, and that's going to go live a little bit later today. So we're gonna that space will be open, you know, pretty much just for Hacktoberfest action. So anytime we have questions, and we'll try to keep mentors and maintainers in there, you know, when possible, just to hang out. So should be a good time. All right. Well, thank you everybody for coming, and happy hacking for Hacktober and whatever. And we'll talk to everybody soon. Bye. Okay.